tides have turned, and I will sail away into the night. Will you take me with you? Carried on by dreams, carried on by dreams.
Hi, and welcome to Twin Flames Between Worlds podcast. My name is Tabitha.
And I'm Liesl.
Hi, welcome to season 6 of our journey for Person to Throne of Glass. We are starting with the Assassin's Blade, but this is going to be a special episode for today. We have an author with us today, Richie Billing. Thank you so much for reaching out. There's not really much I can say other than I was surprised, but like very happy surprised that you reached out.
Thank you very much. It's like for inviting me on the show as well. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, so thank you. Thank you so much. So go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience.
Yeah, so I am from a place called Liverpool, hence the accents. What's going on. But I've been writing for about 10 years, and I never wanted to be a writer, never thought it was something I'd do. But in college, I kind of realised that I enjoyed writing stuff, essays, as boring as that. And then after college, I was like, I've got nothing to do. So I was sort of drifting, and I was working as a lawyer. That's why I went to college in the first place. So, but I was hating it, and the idea of having to do that for the rest of my life did not fill me with joy. So, at the same time, I started reading a lot of fantasy, and I got really into classic fantasy like Raymond Weiss and George R.R. Martin and James Barkley, and just absorbed by all these big adventures. And it was reading the Song of Ice and Fire series. It sort of the magic hit me, and I was like, oh, I wonder if I can do this as well. This is like, what he's done on paper has blown me away, and it's an amazing thing creating what people could enjoy just as much. So I started writing and fell in love, and since then I've kind of wrote fantasy, but I write a lot of literature as well. So the last few years it's gone down a bit more of like a sort of more topical route, rather than just writing about like dragons and stuff. Things now have a bit more of like a bit more grounding in the real world, just because of everything that's going on. And I don't know about you, but I found it increasingly more to ignore, and you just kind of feel a bit helpless. And as a writer, the only thing you can do is really write about stuff. So that's what led me to write Together We Rise, which is my latest novella, came out earlier this year, and it's in short about a revolution against a corrupt regime that's very much modelled on the system that we live in. So that's a little snapshot.
Yeah. Funny enough that you bring up Game of Thrones, because A Song of Ice and Fire, yes, is the actual book series. I'm actually making her watch the show right now. Again, probably the books will come with time.
They're on my to-be read.
I'm a really big fantasy lover, even though we talk about this romantasy genre, which is like where a lot of our viewers come in, and also like what we talk about a lot is that new genre that's being made. That's not just pure fantasy, like George R.R. Martin, Brandon Sanderson type-esque fantasy. But I do like, or even, she made me watch The Hobbit like a day ago. I love classic fantasy that isn't necessarily in the romantasy genre, but because I feel like what differs the fantasy versus like a romantasy is the fact that there is like a main love interest situationship going on. Versus like, kind of an overall, or there's maybe sometimes there's a little romance thrown in there, but it's not prevalent.
Yeah, you want it as like a bit of an interesting element of the story.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that's what gets a lot of the women interested. Don't want to just say like, there's men who get interested in those books, but a lot of the men who like, they like more the fantasy.
It's like the fantasy warfare, the fantasy politics.
Tell me about the magic system.
Yes. Yeah. I'm all for the magic system. Tell me.
Sorry, no, that was real. That hit me because I was like, I literally was, when we were watching the movie, I was just, I don't know, like the politics of this world. Like I need to learn this shit because I'm not understanding. But I did want to say what I loved about, and what I talk about constantly on our show is that, I don't know, sometimes when there's like political revolution and political shit going on in the world that none of us really want to discuss, or it's easier to do it through a fantasy lens. than to talk about like what actually is going on.
Yeah. Definitely. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to do it, because I feel like it's just removed, isn't it? So it's still an escape, but you can relate to what's going on. And it's interesting what you say. I do think there is a change in fantasy, that we've almost gone, the world has become almost like a crazy fantasy, and we're trying to like make sense of that through fantasy stories. And it's like a lot of my stuff now is that sort of the realistic stuff, but with elements of classic fantasy, just to show you that it still is actually a fantasy. Because sometimes I'll write stories and I'll be, this is a fantasy story, and I'll be like, what makes this fantasy story? And it's in a fantasy world. About it.
It's in a world that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
There's a map.
There's a map that has places.
Yeah, people have names.
Oh my god, naming. I'd have to like ask you about, I mean, this is just a side question, but like, how do you like come up with these crazy fantasy names for places or people? Because like, I couldn't even fathom trying to name shit.
Well, one of the best things to do is to drive through Wales, because they've got some crazy Welsh names. So that's given me a few ideas. But I just like names. I like playing around with the vowels, because just got like you've only got a few, so just keep making them, changing the vowels, see if it makes an interesting change. That's what George R. R. Martin does anyway. I'm a big believer, like I do follow a lot of his writing styles almost, and if you confuse the reader, you've lost them. So trying names simple. I'll jazz of it. Sometimes I'll just look up and I'll look things that I've got writing on around me, and a word, and I'll a few letters out of that word, and I'll a few letters out of that word together. That's it. Like,
I kind of, when I make my names, I kind of like just type a couple letters on the keyboard. I'm like, all right, what does this make me think of?
Yeah, because if you put a bit of effort and thought, then you can really create a strong image of a person of life, especially if you give them like a surname.
Oh yeah, like it's this is what we were kind of like talking about pre-recording, but it's like different strengths. Because that, like what you guys are just bonded over and talked about, is something that would kill me in my sleep, in the sense of me having to come up with any of this shit. That's a superpower that you guys have, that you think that might not be like, oh yeah, you're just looking at random stuff on your desk, or you're putting random words in a keyboard, but I'm like, up here I cannot fathom any of that. So it's like, I'll just read what you write me.
You'll read it.
Yes. So it's just different strengths. I love writing.
All right, so getting into this, I did see that like you've done a couple of other interviews on like book talk podcast type stuff. So I was wondering, how did you kind of get into the book talk world?
It's kind of exploded, hasn't it? I mean, social media is brilliant. I was still active on Instagram, and I saw things started to pop Instagram and all that. TikTok seems to just develop a life of its own, and I think it's one of the best things I love is just in there and watching people reading reasons why they like it, and find so many good recommendations. It's just amazing to see now that it's being recognized and like we have a file. Yeah, it's a brilliant phenomenon, and I'm just so happy that it's because for so long that people have just been talking about how like no one's reading this anymore, and then COVID kind of pressed pause and gave people a chance to rediscover the amazing things that can do, and then it's just continued. And one thing I love now is pure fandom of it, because now we're getting all these special edition books.
Yes, sorry, I love that.
But what it's doing is this demand and this interest is forcing the industry change, and it's giving authors opportunity basically to go it alone, cutting out them as publishers, and give readers a better experience, more direct with your. I think that's the main thing, because for me, as a writer, publish a book and then you might get a few reviews, but you don't really engage with any of your readers. You don't like that, so that's why I'm quite active on Patreon and emails and on socials as well, and just trying to engage with readers as they're sort of reading stories. And I don't know, I think it's more rewarding experience. What about you two? Have you experienced the same kind of thing?
So I first of all, I loved everything you just said. Hella COVID totally brought the book talk world into the frame, because like TikTok blew up 2020 as soon as, because TikTok was around, but like it was not being used. I don't know why I'm holding this like a cigarette.
It used to be.
And so it wasn't until, because like I was into these fantasy books for a long time. I've always been a reader. Harry Potter, Percy Jackson, like all of those, like the Hunger Games, like all those like main YA books were all something that I read while I was in school. So, and then again, it built up to like stuff, Song of Ice and Fire, and like these even big fantasy books. But like, so I was like before the craze. And so sometimes I get a moment of, y'all are fetuses. You guys are babies. You have not even been in the fantasy world for as long as I have, baby. So sometimes like I love seeing new people get into books though. Like you said, I love it because I don't know. I'm not somebody who, I'm trying to think of something that's really popular nowadays. There's summer I turned pretty. Like all these TV shows and movies, like I love them. But sometimes I'll watch like something like that in a TV screen and want to go so back into my book because I get to make my own world.
You get to picture it.
And I get to visualize it, and it's not like somebody choosing it for me. But also what you said about authors, I'm not going to lie, like so I'm also a PA for a voice actor, so these conventions that are happening now for books are giving authors such a good outlet to go and sell their books to people who are in that same genre. Like we literally just went to a convention in Tennessee that was like, there was a bunch of authors there, and then they all mingled, and it wasn't just getting to sell your book, but it was also making connection with narrators. That's like, hey, you know what? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. I like your work. Do you want to narrate my book in like audiobook stuff? And just seeing the connections between people like that, just especially in books, makes my heart soar.
The networking is amazing.
Yes.
And I haven't even been to a book convention yet.
You've just heard of what like I have said.
Because one of my favorite things is seeing people bond over something that they love.
Yeah.
And so even if that maybe isn't something like that I'm interested in, for like sports, for example, like people are interested in sports. I love seeing that they can bond over that. They put all differences aside. We like this one thing. We're going to hang out. That kind of thing. And so then when it comes to books, it's like I wasn't the best reader growing up just because I was always like told which books to read. And so I never wanted to read them because I was told to. But then once I started reading books on my own, I'm like, oh, actually, I have a very wild imagination. And I'm able to visualize everything. Like I have very good spatial awareness, so I'm able to actually insert myself into the story. I love like being able to talk to the authors as well, what we're doing here, but then also just random authors like I just happened to meet on Book Talk or Instagram or something, where I love hearing the stories like in the actual books, but I also love hearing the authors' actual stories. I love hearing people's stories, and I just love listening as well. So it's like, I don't know, everything you said also resonated with me.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. It's great when you just learn so much from chatting to different people. I think that's one of the main reasons why I do in my podcast, is because you just have these conversations with people and always learn something new from them. So yeah, it's great. It's a really way. One of the probably best parts of social media is this ability all around the world. It's just some people choose to do weird things on it.
Oh, yes.
Your podcast is writing tips, right? Did I see
that? Yeah,
so
it's called Fantasy Writers Toolshed. Yeah, so it's mostly writing tips, but every now and then I'll just get guests on who are more ready to feel. Well, you can sort of use the knowledge to help with your write. So one of my favorite ones is I did an interview with a guy called Joe Navarro, who is a former FBI special agent.
Oh.
So he's also like a world-renowned expert on body language, so that was quite interesting to learn.
That could really affect someone's writing, like body language, being able to write body language.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
All these things that you wouldn't think of that get added in. Yeah. Details for sure. So would you say then because again, we talked about like our differences. So you kind of did touch on that your genres of choice or that your influences are more into like the classic fantasy.
I think when I was thinking about it when you were talking there, I like these sort of classics like Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit, but I'm not calling out for more of it. I'll go back to that and I'll enjoy it, but I'm not like going out, no, I want more like Lord of the Rings, give me more Aragorn. So yes. I've moved on in terms of what I'm interested in. I'm a very sort of British reader. I'll just walk up, maybe read 100 pages of it and grab me, and then I'll know. I'm quite influenced by what I read and the things that are on my mind. I tend to sort of read a lot around that subject to get me similar kind of things.
I think you would really like Throne of Glass. There is a lot of because it's basically like it's Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. That's actually what our
next section of seasons is going to be about.
This is what we're actually getting into now. And it doesn't have, honestly, it reminds me more of a classic fantasy more than the romantasy. I always find these labels on stuff so weird because they're all like fantasy to me, but because there's so many new labels on everything that I'm like, okay, it's just a fantasy. So basically she's an assassin who, I guess it's like a Cinderella retelling, but it's not. That's literally what it says on the back of the book. It says it's a Cinderella retelling.
I can't see that, but okay.
And it's not. No, she's an assassin who wants to kill the prince, basically.
Yeah. Definitely
a
retelling of the original, for sure. Yeah.
Definitely not the fictional at all.
Yeah.
To the like politics and Regency a lot.
Politics of Regency, but also like the politics of before wartime. Because there's so many times in a fantasy book where like they're either in war already or like they're leading up to it. And this is like an 8-book long series, and you get to see like all of the pre-war shit that like is happening underneath it, and then all of a sudden book 4 happens and it's like total chaos. Everyone's thrown into like, it's a good build up, and obviously like the Chosen One arcs and whatever, which I love,
and some dabble of romance.
I think also something, a side note, why I think that people really like fantasy as well is there is always that, what is his name, Bilbo Baggins, is that right?
Yes, Bilbo Baggins. You gotta do that.
Please help me. I do not know Lord of the Rings that well. So it's the idea of the Chosen One, the idea of like someone who's like from a small town, like, you know, just going on an adventure, and then happenstancing into this Chosen One arc. Like, I think that that's like a big thing that people like. Even I find myself liking is that, I don't know, one person could do a lot and influence a lot in the world, and that we should see ourselves in a Chosen One light instead of like being so self-deprecating on ourselves.
I think that you're right. There are certain tropes and stuff we do kind of find myself rebelling against a lot of tropes. Like, the mentor figure, I don't like, just because my experience of growing up was I didn't really have any mentors, and I just sort of pulled myself. So I like to reflect that experience, because a lot of people have to do that. And also, what you were saying about Chosen One, I like underdogs and ordinary people feel power to do something well.
Yes, I love that.
To shine a light on them, on their voices. Together we rise, pretty much everybody. There is a bit of Chosen One in there, but along the way there's a lot of individuals who are just ordinary people, and some of them are in that moment, and happens to be the right decision. So I like this sort of, especially in our current time, because like we said before, we should feel to help, but we've all got power within us. Some will choose to do it in crazily disruptive ways. But we've got nice, good power within us, and collectively we do a lot of positive. So it's nice to tell all different type stories, Chosen One stories as well. There's a dinner familiar. I also like spins on that as well. So.
Especially in like, I guess, our genre of books and romantasy is like one that's really big is found family. Yeah, that I really, really love, and even you could even tell that. And again, I'm gonna keep bringing up The Hobbit because it's just in my brain now.
We watched it
literally Sunday night. I like the idea of, because I'm an actor and because there's like a sense of when you're with people in a long period of time, getting to know like everybody's like deepest, darkest shit when going through a hard text or like a traumatic text or even a drama, like those can be hard, where we have to have these like conversations. You bond with people so well that there will be years down the road where like I've done a show with someone that we see each other 5 years down the line and we're right back to being like we were just then. And I really love that found family trope of you being in a certain situation for a long period of time and like finding community in that and like a home sometimes, especially for like those underdog characters that you said that didn't necessarily have a mentor, sometimes I will say he is right. The mentor trope can piss me off a little bit. Yeah.
They always come in at like a very convenient time.
And they always die.
Yeah.
Always die.
It's so just like unfair. It's like, how come they get a mentor? Like, I want a mentor.
Yeah, exactly.
But I also did want to comment on the underdog thing, because you said like them making decisions that they're not sure is the right one. Like, I kind of like that more than the underdog who is able to figure out what they're doing. Rather, the underdog who has no idea what the fuck they're doing. If they're making a choice, they have no idea if it's good or bad. They're just going with whatever's next in line sometimes, versus like, oh, both of these are bad options, which is the lesser of the evils. So it's like, I like leaning more into that because it feels more realistic rather than Chosen One or like the underdog that gets a mentor, or, oh, suddenly this person who's like the poorest of all suddenly becomes the richest. It's like, that's not realistic. I know some of it is not supposed to be realistic, but you know, there's got to be some elements of it.
Yeah. As writers, we've got to try and make the reader believe the story that we're telling them. I mean, with class fantasy, you're going with certain expectations, so you're in these people. I think more modern, where you're looking at real life, you say, we're all just guessing. No one knows what they're doing, really.
No,
Right.
for
Make
real.
educated guesses through life.
No manual.
Yeah.
No, I will say that something about, before you get with your question, like, think something about romantasy that, or even like fantasy. I don't know how much about this, and well, because also Game of Thrones, I know Game of Thrones very well in the sense of some of the romantasy authors do a really good job of making these very positive relationships. And that's what I love to see. Obviously, sometimes, just gonna be real with you, Richie, sometimes it's just smut for smut, and like there's not like a rhyme or reason for this relationship to occur. It is literally just that for entertainment. It's totally fair. It's totally fair if you want to read that.
A lot of people like
Yeah.
And they make bank. Those authors make bank off those books. But for me, when I like to deep dive into these books that I really like, I like it when there is because the series we just got done with, it was the first time that I'd ever read a book series where the first love interest was the person that they didn't end up with the first person that fell in love
It
with.
wasn't true love or first love.
Which mind boggled me. That seems stupid.
Love at first sight.
But I was like, okay, because a lot of the, in these, Twilight I don't even know, like another, I'm just using Twilight, I guess. They go through like a bunch of bullshit in the 4 books or whatever, and then obviously end up together. But I liked that there was a realness to this. Hey, we were good for each other in this moment, but then because of war, because of like real colors coming out, because of even like manipulation and like toxicity, the main heroine realizing like, oh my god, this is not the man for me, and obviously finds a love later. That was like so eye-opening to me, and I loved that.
Like, oh, that's possible,
it's,
right?
It's really good, yeah. I mean, like, I've sort of gone through life and being with different people, and the main thing you learn or you take away is that's not what I want. So that's for narrow it down and things that I want. So, I mean, it makes sense, like, to me, best person, and probably all been there, haven't we, where you meet someone, you sort of swoon by them, and then it wears off. So, yeah, it's just true to life, and I think
that was real.
It can be misleading, can't it? Like, love at first sight, very much a Hollywood idea. Like,
Oh,
you just
yeah.
see someone across and you think, oh my, there's the woman. In reality, both go to each other, have an awkward glance, and then walk away and never see each other again. So,
no, it's real. It's real. I don't necessarily like the true love at first sight trope. I like necessarily the interest, like, oh my god, this person's attractive. But then I like the
Actually working through it and having ups and downs with her.
what communication you mean?
Communication. That's that.
yeah, that's what the normal that was. It's basically 2 people who couldn't talk to each other. Yeah, so it can be, I don't know, a brilliant source of community barrier.
Communication is sometimes
Communication is key.
It's key, but sometimes it's a struggle.
Yeah, it is.
But so, kind of talking on the realistic aspect of things, you mentioned that you take from your own experiences when you start writing. So, what has been the impact and the importance of reading and writing in your life? Like, I know you mentioned you had some time in college where you learned that you like writing.
I feel like writing kind of saved my life there. I was kind of drifting. I didn't know what to do. I think a lot of people probably fearing this, and I'd say it's probably not spoken about, like when we're sort of going to college and like probably even younger, like 16, and then you push to like, oh, what you do is what's your career going to be? Like, yeah, I don't even know. I haven't got a clue. So, the pressure that is on young people is insane. So then you're funneled off into like university or college or apprenticeship training or studying. You just go along with it, really. Like, you're in college, by year 2, when you realise you don't actually like this very much, you're like $30,000 down or whatever. Probably even more. So it's like you stick with it. And then for me, I was like, oh, I have a strong sense of injustice. Like, it really annoys me. People get away with things or people do bad things. And that's probably why I want to be a lawyer. And that was my job. So anything like that, then I would help them get compensation and basically help them to life together.
Yeah.
And I really love that. But you very quickly realise there's very little justice in the justice system. And I just lost interest, and I can't really do this for the rest of my life. I feel like, and I was just so lucky that I sort of decided to started writing as you always do. I decided I'm going to write a next series of fantasy novels, having never written any. So,
hey,
the dream.
Yeah. So I started, and then once I started, I've never looked back. And I just like to write about things that interest me. Like this year, I've done a lot of short stories. I've done light-hearted fantasy. It's about sort of useless monster hunters trying to make a way in a riddled world. Then I've written a short story about the war in Gaza, and like a magical realism story about 2 brothers who are trying to find a whale. So in that story, Jet Space Dragon.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't know if you've ever read or seen like I really sort of, I amazed when I realised that tiger on the boat wasn't actually a tiger, it was a man.
Oh, yes.
Man trying to get him, and that's what trauma can do to people, and that's what happened to this young lad. He was seeing dragons. He was like, he loved fantasy, and he was seeing the world of fantasy. So, but it's just whatever's on your mind, and you should always pursue what you're interested in, even though no one is interested in reading it. So, like, as a fantasy author myself, I write all grimdark stuff, and romanticy's been all the rage, and no one's been interested in grimdark. So, but you just gotta write what you're interested in, find things in stages of their own lives, and yeah. So I've waffled on a bit. Sorry.
I definitely don't mind like a good dark fantasy. I think I definitely need to. For me, I take it in stride. Sometimes I'll just need something like lighthearted to then come afterwards, because sometimes when it gets, but like there's a purpose in it, and there's like a reason to read it, and I do like reading it. I mean that Gaza dragon story sounds very interesting.
Awesome. Yeah.
She's not a dragon lover.
Yeah, yes. I love dragons. It's always dragons, and they're always fiery and fierce and awesome. I like the symbolism of dragons as well.
The medieval thing, isn't it?
Oh yeah, well technically my Chinese zodiac is the golden dragon,
So
which
it's meant to be.
Yeah, because I was born on the millennium, so that also anyway.
Dragons.
I like what you said though, because people do find other books at a different time. Just because I found my book series early and then she found it later, like you find it when you need it. And reading was very important to me. Again, it's not necessarily on a writing base like you guys, but reading definitely saved my life in a sense of, especially when I was younger. Now, I feel like I always knew what I wanted to do, like, but also how do you compartmentalize wanting to be an actor and then figure out like how you're gonna like actually make an income off of that? And so then I found like literally books saved my life. And now that I'm voice acting and getting into narration of books, which is something I could not fathom, is that like they really did save my life and brought me to a place where like I can pursue my acting journey in a way that I never thought I would.
Amazing. Full circle.
I know, reading the very same books that I like love. She's actually listened to some of my like narration,
her demos,
my demos, but also just narrating live. Like, so here's the thing. I read my books out loud, and so I narrate. I did this way before I even narrated. So I would like do the quotes and like do voices for the people just while I was sitting down, because it made me like ingrained.
Yeah.
It could be at first when we started living together. Because it was like, I would be, I don't know, just working on something, and then I just hear her talking to herself. And at first I didn't know what she was saying. Then she would like physically like stand up, and she's like, da 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 da. And I'm like, what? Where did this come from? But I've gotten used to it now.
Well, it's real because she knows this. Like, if I am ingrained in a world, I will not know she's there.
She has no awareness of the space around her when she's literally dive in.
I remember when we didn't have, side note, like any furniture, and I was literally just on the rough floor just reading, and she like walked by me like so many times, and I'd be reading a romantasy book, which is kind of like, I don't know, it's spicy, but like obviously like because I'm saying like love quotes, so I'll say like oh Darius or something like that, or in a, I don't know, like a love confession, and I have no idea she's there.
I'm like literally stepping over her to get across the room, and she has no idea.
I'm just that ingrained into a world, man.
Yeah, I wish I was done. I was reading.
So talking about like dreams then, what has been like your hardships in overcoming, like, because I know the publishing world and writing is tough. So like what kind of, I don't know, what hardships did it overcome to even get these books out or to start, producing?
The biggest battle for any writer is time. Always trying to find time and a bit of energy. I mean, most writers I know, even additional published writers, they have jobs. So that's also finding the balance between earning enough money to live and then having enough time to It is, most people I know, they just love writing the vocation before. So you're willing to do 80, 90 hour week over 2 jobs. So that's basically, I treat it as 2 jobs. Writing is the job I want to do. And then pay anything. The other one is it's the one that pays the bills, and you do the 9 to 5 to enjoy 5 to midnight or whatever hours you do. It's tough for going because you enjoy creating so much and sharing it with people and seeing the reactions and sometimes, but like certain stories can really resonate at times. And I always laugh from there and say, I'm still finding new songs from like the 1960s and 70s. Like people are still going to be finding out.
Yeah.
Believe it or
Oh.
but yeah, you got to just pursue your options and like whatever it may be, and create things seen as lesser nowadays. Just it's a shame, and it's just purely down to the system that we live in, is that you're driven towards pushed into debt, and then you're driven towards earning money. And yeah, it's really sad. Doesn't do things very well. And for working class people like myself, say we have to do jobs just to get stuff there.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not what I would love it.
No, I mean, it's like there's a commonality amongst artists. We're all artists in the sense of like podcasters, content creators, authors, actors, musicians. Like there is a collective amongst us that we understand everything you just fucking said to a T. Like the grind of a job that's like making the money, but then also at the same time pursuing your interests, and then what you want to be your career. And like you even said that there's times where even like the most published authors have to do like, I don't know, gigs here and there to even other actors. Like David Schwimmer, this is going to make sense. He actually popped up in like, so you know how you, when you get into a new job, you have like a 2-hour like sexual assault video.
Oh, like
the training, yes, for like sexual conduct. And he just popped up, like that actor, David Schwimmer.
He was doing it. He was doing the training.
In the sex video, and I was like, so even this is gonna sound dumb, like even he has to like put money or to make money through a corporate video to do this stuff when he's not doing other acting things. Like that's the only, like that was like the one thing in my brain that I could come up with at the moment. But or even musicians having the normal 9 to 5 and then like performing or gigging at night. I feel you, and especially what he said about that people will like find our stuff in the future. Like that's how I totally feel about our podcasts in any sense, even though if like necessarily we don't have like a bunch of people now, there's a level of that could happen.
It's gonna be here forever.
Yeah.
I always take heart in the Van Gogh didn't sell us in Peyton when he was alive.
That's nice.
Yeah, people go on about it. Died the unknown, and now everyone reviews him as students.
Yeah.
So yeah, go on. You never know what might happen.
Yeah, no, that's real. That's real.
So continuing on with like the inspiration for your writing, was there any like specific book or book series or maybe an author that inspired your writing?
Or at least this book that
for this book more?
This book, yeah, there was a specific author. There's a writer from Baltimore called Daniel Lament. So he writes more literary scene, and I actually interviewed him on the cast. That's how I got to know him. And then because he's from Baltimore, he's also a fan of The Wire, and I'm also a big fan of The Wire. Well, that's too short, right? And he was like, "Oh well, you should read my first series of books called Lowtown because it's so inspired by The Wire." I know, I've never read Fantasy Writers. It's so great. It's like main characters. He's not a guy, bad things. Now he's trying. He's a drug dealer. He's sort of got like a bit of a code, and he's trying to things together. And it was big and tight writing, poetic and lyrical in the way he was writing, but writing sort of very dirty and gritty and grimy. And I think that sort of clash I absolutely love, because it was almost like these beautiful words can be used for our gritty real stories as well about working people. And I really like some message he sent. And then through that series, there's only at that point decided I was like, I want to write some bits, and that's when I decided I had Get the New Rise in mind and kind of boss. So yeah, Daniel Blanty is made a big creation. Sadly, there's not much romance in that story. But I'm not averse to romance. Like I've written a novel before, and there was a nice little triangle in there. There was not much spice, unfortunately. It was more of like, will she, won't she? Who's she going to choose? And then at the very end, find out. Yeah.
There's I'll be frank. I told her before, I was like, as long as there's just a little bit of romantic tension, even if it's not like the main part of it, I like.
What are your thoughts on romance and revenge? Because Together Your Eyes, there is a big element of revenge in there on a husband abuse. No romance involved, but a lot of revenge.
I mean, hell, revenge against an abusive or like a terrible man? Hell yeah. Of course. I'm totally into that.
It's quite that scene as well, so.
Some realism in there.
I think for me, I like the idea, or I'm trying to find the words for this because I am more the romance person than you are. You could watch something that has no romance in it or read something and totally be fine with that.
I like the storyline and plot. That's what I focus on.
Which is totally fine. I think I can do that at some points.
Yeah.
But I am very bad at All right, I feel like you need to say this and not me because you obviously have your opinion.
It's just kind of funny because, I mean, just like right now, like I'm taking her through One Piece, the anime, and she keeps asking, is there any romance? And I'm like, it's more focused on their story as pirates, you know? And so it's like, then like when I want to show her things, she's like, is there any romance? Like, well, I can't tell you that. You have to learn.
It's important to know that as a writer, though, that you've got to put these romantic elements in because so many people love them. And as I have been guilty of, don't do much on it, especially in shorter stories because you don't have room to develop.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, I think the novel that I've written and I'm currently working on, there is a strong romantic element. And because I appreciate the success. Because I grew up loving rom-coms. I devoured rom-coms. I do like that sort of moment at the end.
Yeah.
Something I've learned that like as a reader, but then also for like writing that I've shared with a couple of friends, is that like even like the hints of romance, even if it's not directly built on or like showed like, yeah, this is a romance that I'm writing about, even if there's a hint of, oh, this person looked at this person in such a way, blah, 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 it puts the idea in the reader's mind and then they can then think about that and create their own world based off of that as well.
Yeah, I don't need like, I mean, obviously, yes, I'm like the target demographic for most of these like romance authors, though I will say I'm going to tell you right now, I hate modern romance. Any modern book that I'm reading, it's the bane of my existence.
Example of modern romance.
There's like a very much in the book talk world. I'm sorry if you audience members like these books. I do not. Hockey romances.
Is like billionaire romances? Is that I've seen them? Billionaire romances?
Kind of, yeah.
They're romances, like they're... So I did get that book because it was like, I got a book recently that was a hockey romance. That was it literally is just like a college setting where it's like the hot hockey...
Ice hockey captain.
And then like...
Chief guy. What we're going to call them now. I don't know. You know, he's just that sucky chief guy that girl fell in love with.
and then it's like I do not like the fact it's like the hot, very skinny, big chest. I hate that in anime too. Why can there not be like hot plus size people? But anyway.
But also anime is anime.
Yes. It's like a hot skinny chick but like she has glasses so she's ugly. And then
I take offense to that.
Which is, I also wear glasses sometimes.
Screw them.
And like that somehow is like, oh, but when she takes the glasses off, puts her hair down, sometimes she just becomes the like hottest chick in the world. And it's like,
Where have you been hiding?
Yeah, I'm like, I've been here the whole time, you bitch.
Apparently I mean, that's why glasses and a mustache work as a disguise.
Clark Kent was right, bro. Everyone in this world is dumb.
At least the hot guys will ignore you.
I know the hot guys don't do anything. They don't fucking put on, or if anything, when they put on their glasses, they're just like, they get hotter. What is, sorry, I just went off. They usually
have some kind of identity crisis. Like, I don't know if I can throw the ball far enough anymore. You know, that kind of thing.
No, for sure. And then like the very like male toxic masculinity sometimes of like, well, but I'm the captain. Like you're supposed to like listen to me. And then she's like, but I'm defiant. And then he's like, I kind of like it.
It's so cringy.
I hate modern romance because fantasy romance is so much better.
And honestly, in a way, modern romance feels less realistic.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry. Getting so excited about this because there is that element to it where like, yes, I do get intrigued by like even like a passing glance, or maybe they kissed before like one of them died. Like even if like there wasn't too much buildup, like there's a level of wait, okay, now I'm gonna reread the book to see if there was passing glance or if there was like a romance I didn't see, and like it would make me more intrigued to read it again.
Yeah.
So there's that. I am like the target demographic for this shit. So then I guess just what your novella is about, and even if you want to talk about your novel as well, like what is the premise, what is it about, and yeah, just tell us like why should we read it, I guess is pitch here.
I suppose the main reason why I think you should read it is because it sort of critique the system that we all live in. We're all experiencing the same thing, and this book gives you a little bit of hope that change is possible and that we can do it ourselves. And it's, even though it's very much ingrained in our world, it's set in the fantasy world. It's every fan of fantasy world called Pariah that I've read, and I've tended to have related it with like a lot of short stories, and I wanted to do something a bit longer. So Together We Rise, it's a novella, and it just tells the story of the day of a revolution in this city called Talos, and it's very much modelled on a sort of medieval city, but nice simple structure. There's a low town and there's an uptown, so of all the rich people live on top of the hill, all the people live at the bottom, and it's very much just like by survival. Every day is a struggle. People are starved, dead, like injured in crazily dangerous industries, and things that we can see in our world and we have seen in our world, and just creating a vivid experience really is of what it's really, really like for a lot of people. And the way I decided to critique basically the capitalist history that we're in, and I didn't think that duly by just on one or two characters. So controversially, I went with 8. But each character only has one chapter, so there's only 8 parts, and I see it more like a relay race. So each character passes baton onto the next one, and they all have very different systems. And the idea is to show how the system affects them and their lives, and how it's shaped them almost. So we've got the healer, and his sort of view is he's sort of struggling to sort of deal with the daily struggles that he's witnessing. Then we've got the worker, and he's kind of modelled on sort of trade union person standing up for the little guys. They've been pushed to the death of the brink, and he's also got like his son dying because of the pollution in the environment. But he's being tasked to spark out the workers into a bit of an uprising that will then ignite the fans of revolution, which later unfold. So as this is all going on, I introduce some other perspectives. So we've got a guy called King, who's a drug dealer, and he offers an economic perspective basically, and shows the extremes that go up to. Like this guy, the reason he became a drug dealer is because he grew up like starving, and he just never want to feel kind of pain, hunger again. So this is one way that you can avoid it. So we've been corrupted doing that. And then there's other interesting characters like Child Mal. So she's a runner for King. She's also working for the revolutionaries and feeding them information. And my favourite character is Kishto, who's a police officer, who he gets sent out to 12 protests, and he decides that, well, he has a decision to make anyway. Does he change sides or does he? But I suppose the main fantasy elements, probably listening thinking, how the hell is this fun? So as it sort of builds up, what I like to do in my stories is I like to sort of, we go along together and we're discovering the world, we're seeing it together, and then at some point I'm just going to kick down the door and then you're going to see the world for what it really is. I try not to make it too overwhelming. I like to throw too much too soon. So it's more the end and the final chapter. We get an insight into who's behind the sort of powers that be, and who's sort of making this system the way it is, and what they're trying to gain out of it. And basically in this fantasy world, there are two forces that are sort of each other in a bit of a shadow war. There's the good guys, who are called the magpies, and their job is to try and maintain balance and order. That's why the magpie black and white, my favourite bird. And they're fighting the bad guys called the Kyra, and they serve demonic entities and try and open portals so demons come and enslave people. Classic.
No, I was just like, got it.
Yeah, but they're sort of actively opposing each other, and this novella sort of shows beginning of what is going to be a final showdown. They need to wear balance tip in favour of Kyra as they cover magic being lost for centuries. And in this final chapter, see that magic. Yeah, it's a bit of everything in there, I suppose. We follow
I love a magic that hasn't. First of all,
I want to read
Chef's kiss to your description. Also, just gonna let you know, like, we're not people that are very good at, if we're bored, you would know. Like we were very ingrained and interested in what you were saying. I do want to read.
I fidget when I'm bored, and I was like, "What?
Stop fidgeting." I like the idea of untold magic, though. That element, that's
magic, common knowledge,
or that has been unknown for a long time, or been lost.
Yeah. There's sort of like echoes of it in like weapons, like enchanted weapons, but no one knows how the magic out of it or how to enchant a weapon. It's just like these are like relics of past when magic was like prevalent. It sort of exists in the world, but no one knows how to harness it or anything about it really. Everything's been destroyed in like a great war which happened like 1,000 years ago. This is like the offshoots of society as it's
You really would like Throne of Glass then. You would really like Throne of Glass, because that's my recommendation for you, because that like is all in there.
Job I didn't read it because I'll probably get accused plagiarism.
Oh, it's definitely not. No, yours sounds very different than that.
Yeah.
I will say, I'm gonna say though that, sorry, you bring up a good point though about plagiarism. It's one of those things where I'm such an honest person that like, I did not come up with this after like reading another book, but the fact that like sometimes they could just be circumstance and that they could be so similar. I feel bad for authors sometimes.
There is a certain level where, yeah, there are tropes that are used, and so being able to make it your own is good, but there's going to be some similarities between the tropes. There's going to be some similarities between stories and storylines, and we see that in movies and books already as they are.
You can always connect it.
Right. There's always going to be that level, and especially like with music music, like people talk about how, oh, this song has the same chord progression as this song. It's like there's also a limited number of chords. There's a limited number of notes. Like there's always going to be similarity to that.
Yeah.
So like, especially as we continue making music, we keep taking from other people as inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
So
it's rough.
Yeah.
For that particular. Also as being musicians as well. Like that's why I do not touch writing. She's the writer in the music, not me.
You're the reader and the actor.
I just sing the song she writes.
Nice. Exactly. So I just wanted to say, did I see a cat walk behind you?
Oh,
I got distracted.
Cat.
Yeah, Mally.
So
Well, one of the characters is named after
Aww.
Mal. My cat Mally. So she was found in a box and she was small as she was a random kitten. So I lived when she was like 12 weeks and she was tiny. And Mal, call her Little Mal. And then the character in the book called Little Mal as well because she's like a little school kid as well.
That is so
adorable.
cute.
And another character's named after me, a rabbit, obviously now deceased rabbit. But when I was writing that character, I would write outside because I was at the same time, and the rabbit would sit on my knee. And the rabbit was called Tilly. So yeah. So you asked before about how you come up with names. There's two names of pets.
Okay, got it right there.
Take from around you.
Yeah.
Well, there was a fan that reached out that was like, I want to put your name in my book, and I was like, what? And it's like, she wants this big Amazonian woman. I was like, hell yeah.
Tabitha, the Amazonian woman.
Nice.
I was like,
Yeah.
Makes
I would
sense.
be honored. That's so cool.
Yeah.
To be in someone's book like that. Like, specifically them asking me to be put in the book. I was like,
Rather than just using the name Tabitha.
because I mean, that's just a name.
But
Yeah.
then asking, hey, can I use your name?
Yeah,
That's
I
sweet.
did that with a guy recently because I love that idea as well because to be involved in something like that, be popular in 40 years, you never know. But a guy just emailed me out blue who's on my mailing list and said, with a review of one of the stories, and he really liked it. Oh yeah, you story. Thank you very much, Sam.
Oh, that's so awesome. But
So, yeah, it's always worth emailing or
email, social media, there's benefits to it.
Yes. Yeah, so I guess like one of our last questions then is for your book, what are the like main themes, big themes that you want people to focus on or that you write about in your book?
Yeah, so the main kind of on already, but the main sort of theme with this one is that change is possible and with power within us all to achieve it. And I think that's quite an important message. I was chatting with someone who said, don't really see these kind of things anywhere. These kind of like, don't see it on TV, you don't see anything now. Things are getting censored and are very right-wing media. So, I mean, we're not even seeing coverage of like massive uprisings in Nepal, Indonesia, Philippines, France. Like, where's coverage of any of this happening? It's just
They're just not.
dead zones.
Mm-hmm.
And it's important. So, personally, I want change, and this is a way of sort of reaching people in a different way, non-confrontational. It's not a video on social media that can get lost very quickly amongst the rest. Like, a sort of medium that hopefully people can slow down with and enjoy and connect with. And I also was keen to make this more of an experience, more so than any other book, because it does have an original soundtrack integrated into it. So I don't know if you had a chance to look at the way I've done it, but basically at the start of each chapter, the character has their own theme tune, and you can listen to that by scanning QR. And
That
the
is so
idea of
cool.
the song is to mirror the emotional journey that goes on in that chapter. So I love music and fantasy stuff like Lord of the Rings. I listen to that when I write. So it's like it's really empowering and it takes it to a new emotional level. And that's what I want to do. I want to sort of give readers another aspect, another element can enjoy the experience with and maybe see things they didn't see or the level of character going through. And so far, I want to be positive. Like I say, it's never been done before, so it's always a gamble. But yeah, should I enjoy?
I really, you're very, I love what you're saying, and you're very eloquent,
Very well.
well spoken about, because it's just resonating with me. Like what you're saying about not only the change, but about the way music also is intertwined in these books. Because like I really do. I mean, we're as people who are musicians, and like even she has made Spotify playlists to go along with the books that we read.
I love doing that as well. It's a great idea.
Yeah.
It's so good because I also am someone who, because like you said, like there's even with Lord of the Rings and the Reigns of Castamere for Game of Thrones.
The national
Like,
song, that, isn't it? Yeah.
I love listening to that.
Music can really change, but also guide the way that you process what you're reading. Like, you can listen to one song and read it and have an entirely different interpretation than reading it with a different type of music. And that's how it is for, like, me with writing as well. Like, I also play music when I'm writing just as, like, background white noise. And I've noticed that depending on what the playlist is, what the songs are, that influences where I go with the story, unintentionally.
Mm-hmm. But also like touching on your themes about like, I don't know that there is hope, because sometimes sometimes, like you said, that there's a level of in stuff nowadays, there's not very like it's more just pure escapism, like an actual, okay, we're gonna escape into a fantasy world, but we're also gonna change up the system.
Yeah.
It
Like-
honestly, it feels more like in the fantasy world, we can make changes much better than we can in our real world right now, which really sucks.
Mhm.
But like what you were saying earlier about how it kind of feels helpless right now, I do relate to that. Honestly, it feels like this is the fantasy world that I'm escaping to the real world in the fantasy world. Sometimes it feels like that. The fantasy worlds are more the same. I know I said that. It just really feels that way.
Yeah.
And I think one of the main things, like I said before, is just showing people that all these ordinary people, this little street urchin guy who just bashes steel all day, we've all got massive role. Like people's small contributions, these tiny moments where they make a decision can have massive impact. We're sort of almost conditioned to believe don't matter, and that alone we can't change anything. There's no point in recycling that because like who recycles or that oil polluting everything. So like what difference do I make? But that's almost like, especially with vote, they're like, oh, my vote doesn't count for anything, but it really does. If everyone didn't believe that, like everyone believed they could make change and a bit of it, then yeah, well, you're massively like,
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it's great to have all these different characters, and I like to create characters that I genuinely like. People like the main character in this is a woman called Till, whose name's Rob, and she's quite an unassuming person. She's got a heart. She also, like, because of trauma that she's been through, she is broken, and she realizes she quite likes killing because it reminds her what like feel and control. So she becomes a bit of a vigilante, and then soon realizes just ridden the city of people isn't enough. Gotta root out corruption at all, and that's why she's a revolution.
Interesting.
And it's nice just to have a character doing things. Fantasy male dominating with a big sword, like leading everyone. But I was always brought up by strong women, so I gravitate towards the main strong female characters. My thing. I don't think about writing a strong male girl almost. I always gravitate towards females. So yeah.
You are a rare individual, my friend. Most men do not write. I can't really think of anyone who's really like that writing like a
Or they might be able to have like a strong moment for the female character, but not consistently strong, which kind of sucks.
The Hobbit doesn't have any main female people.
That's the main problem with Tolkien. It doesn't have any women in it.
Or they're just like a pretty elf, right? Wasn't there just like one girl in that whole movie?
So I think Eowyn.
Two.
Galadriel.
No, I just realized that. I was so honestly, thank you for writing women like that. Cause like, I mean, obviously this is specifically the romantasy realm is like very female dominated. And sometimes I'm not gonna lie, I'll have a critique. Sometimes they write guys in a very wow. And not necessarily a good way.
I mean, it is tricky. I am very much aware that I am like a white man, and especially like writing a novel that I've recently done where I decided to write about the main character is a young widow who's a child, and I'm also a childless man. So it's like, oh, I don't think. But George R. R. Martin sums up to me as like when someone said to him like, "How do you write women so well?" I'm like, it's just simple, and it's just like I've never really thought, oh, how am I going to write women? How do you write person? How do you get into their heads, experience their experiencing, and write stories believable and telling to them? And it doesn't really matter. But that's just the way I am things, and I don't really think.
And you don't have to have children to know. It's like we all were like kids at some point and had like some sort of awareness that we could even draw on from our own experiences. I will say that there are like, again, there's always critiques in the author world, and sometimes it's like, well, how can you write about this experience when like you don't? It's like, as somebody,
imagination,
or just like looking at other people's experiences, or like even like you said, talking to other people and gaining insight from them,
learning story.
Exactly. I mean, you could say that about the acting world. Why am I playing like this lesbian woman who's like this? I don't know, like this high-born lady. I am neither rich nor lesbian. How do I portray that? But also at the same time, like it's like a person. It just because
we're all people here.
Yeah. Like the fact of who you like doesn't really necessarily, unless like again it's to the plot. But even if it is to the plot, like
still a person.
Yeah,
people first.
So people first. Exactly. It's
perhaps to that.
The question of like how do you write women? It's like I just write a person. Who just asked
a person that happens to be female?
He was really offended by it. Seemed.
I would be too.
Yeah.
Like, well, how do you write a man? It's like you don't think. Also, I've dealt with men before. Like, what kind of question is that?
It is quite funny when you see like, men writing women and like articles of it. Like, yeah, that's funny. I say on parts like I'm sure women don't think about boobs as much as men think they do, and I'm sure that men testicles as much as some women do as well.
Yeah.
So it's like there's no winning sometimes. You just gotta look at the bad examples.
That's so real because, like, honestly, you'll know if it's written by a woman if, like, they're constantly talking about, like, there's very much in the romantasy realm where, like, there are these, like, funny moments where it's like his length or her core. You know it's written by a woman when, like, it's so, like, obscure in these rosy terms instead of just, like, very vulgar. I don't want to say men are, like, vulgar. They're just more practical of, like,
Very blunt.
their breasts.
Or her tits.
Yeah. Like it's not eloquent. Versus like a woman will be
You're
like
saying that men can't write eloquent.
no, rosy terminology. You know it's written by a woman when they're talking about a sex scene and then it's not. Or there'll be those women who just go in and then they'll write very, very visceral sex scene. And it's like
okay. Okay, cool.
Drink to that. But you're right that there are some, like, when you know it's written by a man, it's like not talking about his crotch at all. It's like, yeah, no, written by a man. Preference. Write what you like.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, did you have any questions for us? I mean, I don't know if you'd have any questions for us, but
You know, it's I'm just very grateful to have the opportunity to chat with you both. It's like people in the world, and it's a lovely thing going. Like I say, I like them to more than one person, so you have dynamic in conversations. So
oh yeah. Well, thank you so much, Richie. Like, I love this. I was and I will say it again, I was very, very happy, very honored when you reached out because I was like, how the fuck did you find us? I was like, not in the sense of that we're not known, but it's not like
still kind of small.
We're still we still have a strong but mighty community.
Yeah.
So
well done, very awesome. So nice to people and see who's out there, and I'll obviously give this a share and you get more listens.
Yeah. Wait. So can I ask, how did you find us? Were we just in the algorithm?
I was just researching on the community and seeing who's out there and making good. So we've got to do a bit of research, haven't you? Make sure you're good because some casts you just go a bit far in certain angles and then
No, that actually does make me feel honored because I will say that, like, I like to say on our podcast that I am very honest about my opinion. I do think that there are other podcasts out there. I think everyone is allowed their space to talk. I mean, barring some exceptions with some of those bigger podcasts that I'm like, why are you on the air? But, like, especially in the book talk world, sometimes it's very, I don't mean to say this in a mean way, but it's very surface level, very 2D. Like, okay, we're just talking about hot men in a hot book. And it's like, okay, well, that's fine if that's what you want to talk about.
There's depth there.
But I want to talk about the depth. I want to talk about so much more than just, because, like, that isn't just what these books are about.
And something I think that, like, just for a moment here, like, I think something we do good with our interviews, bringing people on, is that we do it more than just interviews. We don't just ask questions. We have conversations and we connect.
Yeah, definitely. You see real talking about things and it's more enjoyable to watch than that.
We'll put that in our bio. We are real people. We are real people.
We're real people talking about real shit. And it's honestly, this is just like my thoughts coming out unfiltered. So I really do appreciate you. I loved this conversation. I loved what you had to say about, I'm totally giving your book a read.
Yes.
And we'll totally put it on our social media as well.
Amazing.
About your book.
I mean, nothing more that you didn't already say. Like, it really was an honor to bring you on here because I mean, again, not the biggest reader yet, even though we have a book podcast, but like, I am always looking for more things to add on my VR.
Ever growing.
Yes. And honestly, I love adding more than just fantasy and romantasy to that because it's like, well, I want to be able to expand what sort of things I read. And so I'm always looking for new types of genres of stories as well. So this one is definitely going to be on there.
And also, it's very thin, so it won't take you long to read.
Hey.
It's cute.
Hey.
That's a nice selling point for everyone.
It doesn't matter how long it is. That matters the content.
Right.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like a novel of fluff.
I wonder, like, does it like feel good to have like a physical copy of something that you wrote?
I love having pieces. Even if it's a short story in anthology, I'll always get It's nice to isn't it? Because it feels a bit more real then.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I feel like it would it's gonna drive me crazy. Like if I see a book that says by like with my name on it, I'm gonna be like, this ain't real. Even though I wrote it, this ain't real.
It's very surreal.
Go enjoy it. All that work and so you to celebrate.
Yeah, you have to. Thank you everyone for watching. Thanks to Richie. Go and follow him on Patreon, on your do you have like Instagram and TikTok?
And luckily for listening, there's not many Richie Billings in the world. So just Google me and I'm the only fantasy author on there. So
Fair.
Patreon's the best way. You can sign up for very free, and also you can subscribe to nothing, and you can get everything: audiobooks, ebooks, novels, novellas, and behind the scenes interviews. And
Yay! So we'll put that all in the description. And again, thank you so much for reaching out to us and coming on the show. And good luck to your writing journey in the future. Like, I hope that we see more writing from you, because you seem very grounded, seem very I like your purpose and your vision for wanting to write. Like, if anything, that's what got to me more than most everything. I mean, everything you also said, but that was probably, I am all about dreams, and I'm all about, I don't know, finding your passion and going with it and sticking with it. So I really like that.
And making your way in a world that sometimes can try and put you down.
Capitalism.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that.
So we'll see you guys all in our next episode, where we're going to be going into the Assassin's Blade, the first part of Throne of Glass. So interesting that I brought that up to you, because that's what we're getting into right now.
It's fate.
Listen to the next one.
Good.
Have a good day, night, whenever you're watching this, and we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
I will wait till the tides have turned, and I will